Catus Maximus here. This is a quick review of these Harbor Freight wrench ring set. These are a carbon steel, hardened carbon steel, just big clip rings that are actually surprisingly difficult to get open. These things are only $2 normal price on the shelf, and they are rigid. That's probably the most surprising thing about these D rings. Or spring rings, so they advertise these as for wrenches. And I'll tell you what, these can really pinch your hands. It's really surprising. They don't make any mention of the material, but they're definitely not just a mild steel, because you got to use both hands to really, it almost hurts to tell you the truth. You kind of want to use a wrench just to help pry the little tong back into its little thing. It's nearly impossible, to tell you the truth. You know, if it's cold outside and this metal is rigid and your hands are sore, it's going to hurt almost to put that on without gloves. So this is a surprising item. I actually have another review coming up of another surprising older Harbor Freight item, but this is one of those things where it's a super cheap item on the shelf, and surprisingly enough, it's made out of decent steel. At least has a reasonable degree of chrome plating. Little stamped cupped area that they always seem to be offset just to make it easier to get it to unsnap, and it's kind of designed where this is rotated a little bit and then they pre-bend it. You'll want to check the packaging, because a lot of these were really pretty wonky this way. But if you get some that are pretty straight, they're certainly going to hold together. And actually, I can see where in the service trucks or around the shop, a ring like this could be handy. You can't get a huge amount of opening in these. I guess when you get used to them, you can kind of use both hands this way to get them together. But man, they are rigid. They'd be great, you know, for extension cords, holding all sorts of stuff like that. And that's kind of why I like them, is because they're cheap, and seeing that they're actually rigid enough where if you actually have wrenches or something on them and drop them, they won't just pop open. I thought they could be pretty handy, and I realized there's several situations where I wanted, you know, on a, you know, either an auto lift or a metal rack or something where you wanted to run an air hose or just to hold something. These are actually pretty darn robust, to tell you the truth. Tell you what, these would be some pretty heavy-duty shower curtain holders, or shower curtain rings, that's for sure. So kind of an odd throwback item that's still cheap at Harbor Freight, and they're actually not too bad for being what they are. If they just, you know, I'm surprised. I'm really surprised that they use such a, it's like must be spring steel or something that they're using. Like this one in particular is extraordinarily difficult to get it to lock. I mean, that is some hard steel. That's only 3/16 of an inch. And if any of you have these or end up buying them, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, wow. And they're probably cold drawn, which further makes them even harder, and then heat treated. So that's about it for this review. I thought these were a neat item, and they actually seem to be pretty robust and hold up for what they're intended for. This will be great. I may end up like putting this on a grease gun, so it's easier to hang and deal with the grease gun. Actually, a surprising number of uses just for a simple ring like this, when it's actually robust enough to stay together with, I mean, you could pull on that with a huge amount of force. You probably have to pull on that with dozens, you know, or tens of pounds of force. I mean, for that to come off. I wouldn't tow trailers with it, but really not, you know, you could hang chain, all sorts of stuff from it. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.